Hi everyone, Michelle here from The Fashion Expert. I'm back here today with a video and I'm going to go through the three top and most common reasons that your factory is not getting back to you. So when we're looking to get our collections made, often we're speaking to lots of different factories, or more often than not, we're trying to speak to lots of different factories and we're finding that the doors are often closed to us. So I'm going to give you some hints and tips today as to why that might be happening and also how you can potentially avoid that. So reason number one, you don't have tech packs. So a tech pack is a blueprint for any garment that you want to have manufactured, and the whole of the fashion industry, when they design something, they have a tech pack made. There's lots of different elements included in that tech pack. There are things like technical details, information for the factory on how they're going to construct the garment, colours, fabrications, lots of things about the details in the garments like prints, embroideries, etc. So without these tech packs and these blueprints, it's very, very hard for a factory to go away and sample something for you or even give you a reliable cost price, okay? And this is the number one thing that I say fashion startups do wrong. And it's this idea that you can cut corners, you can go to a manufacturer with something like a photograph or a really quick sketch, and they're going to be able to provide all of this information to you. So what happens when the manufacturers receive these kind of queries? Well, number one, they get hundreds of these queries every week, okay? Lots and lots of startup brands out there all trying to, find suitable manufacturers, etc. So a factory really doesn't have the time to hold your hand through this process, and nor are they interested in doing so, okay? That's the job of somebody like me, so a fashion designer and consultant, to actually hold your hand through the process. A manufacturer just wants to know all of the details about what you want to get made. And if you can't, communicate that in a professional way, more often than not, they're really not interested in doing business with you. And that might sound a little bit harsh, but if you're approaching them in a really unprofessional manner, it's going to take them lots of time and energy and lots of going back and forward, asking hundreds of different questions about all of the information that's missing from your tech packs. And quite frankly, factories are busy and they don't have time to do that. So they're not being rude. It's just when they receive that query, if you're not a desirable client to work with, and they understand because they get so many queries that they're going to have to, explain lots of things about the industry to you. So, coming across very unprofessional is the first reason that you're going to have the doors closed, or, and just no response at all. So getting your tech packs really shows that you're serious about your brand. It also shows the manufacturer that you have a certain level of understanding and that you want to create, a good relationship. You're interested in creating good products, etc. And also that you've invested the time and the energy and the money to actually get these tech packs produced for your collection. So if you want to be taken seriously, do what the whole of everybody else in the fashion industry is doing and get those tech packs made. So reason number two that your factories are not getting back to you is that you're being unrealistic with expectations. And this can be from lots of different avenues. It can be in terms of time restraints. So let's say, for example, if you're approaching a manufacturer and you're looking to get something produced in a couple of weeks, it's really unrealistic. You're going to have to go through the development process, the sampling process, which takes lots of time to perfect your garments, etc. So if you're putting pressures on a factory and you're being really unrealistic with your timescales, again, it's going to kind of feel like this isn't a good relationship. Do I really want to work with this startup brand? And more often than not, the answer is going to be no. So being realistic and having good expectations about timescales is really important. The other thing that people are often unrealistic about in terms of expectations is also price. So yeah, we all want, amazing products at the best price. But if you're going in there with a completely unrealistic price, if you haven't done your market research, if you haven't worked out what those target prices should be, etc., and you're going in there asking for really, really cheap prices on something that's just completely unrealistic and somebody can't manufacture that for the price that you're asking for, then again, you're not going to come across as a desirable client. You're not going to come across as someone that they want to build a worthwhile working relationship with. So doing your research, making sure you've worked out good and realistic target prices, and you have an understanding of what those ballpark figures are going to be before you go in and speak with manufacturers, will get you in a much better position than if you just go in there with a made up price or no price at all. The last reason that manufacturers are often unwilling to speak to people is that, again, you haven't done your research and they're just not a good fit for your brand. So it's a very common misconception that you can approach any factory with your collection and they're going to be able to make it. Any factory can make anything. Well, this again is quite unrealistic and quite an unprofessional way of approaching things. So factories often have very specialist areas that they work in. That could be in terms of the products that they manufacture, the types of fabrics that they use to manufacture those products, or even in terms of things like whether they do adult clothing or kids clothing, whether they specialize in women's wear or men's wear, and also things like the kind of styling and what kind of customers they have. So different markets around the world have different fashion tastes and have different requirements for things. So again, thinking about your end product, is it casual wear? Is it going to be sold in the West? Is it going to be sold in the East? What kind of sizing is it, etc.? And thinking about other things like fabrications. Is there something very specific in your collection that needs to be worked by certain machinery, etc.? So if you don't know these things in the beginning, then it's great to speak to somebody like myself, a consultant that can help you and give you answers on things. But deep down, this is all about doing your research. It's about making sure that you're approaching this from the correct point of view. And it's also about making sure that even though you're a startup brand, you're educating yourself to a certain degree and giving yourself a certain level of knowledge about how the industry works. And, a little bit of knowledge goes a long way. If you're able to speak the language of the fashion industry, you'll find that you'll get much more results and replies, etc., to queries. And also people will be more likely to want to strike up conversations with you. So just to recap, the 3 top reasons that your factory is probably not responding to you. Number 1, you don't have tech packs, or you don't have clear and good tech packs that have details about the garments that you want to make. So you must hand over a really professional blueprint to your factory to have something tangible made. Number 2, you're being unrealistic with your expectations, things like price and timescales. And number 3, you're just not doing your research and you haven't understood whether a factory is a good fit for you. So I hope you've enjoyed these tips. If you have enjoyed the content in this video, then I would really appreciate you to give this a thumbs up. And I would also love to hear any comments that you have. And if you love this video, please do let me know and I'll make some further information like this. And I shall see you next time in the next video.